Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Well, welcome to our 37th show. Really pleased to still, again, I think this is our 11th week. We're number one on iTunes in the business video section. It's kind of funny. I did get bumped off for 3 days by TED Talks. They knocked me back to number 3. So I appreciate all my viewers out there rallying around me and get me back up to number 1. I really appreciate it. Also, for those out there, I'm doing almost a daily leadership / sales tip, and I'm posting it up on the Dean Akers site on LinkedIn and Facebook. So if you want to go there, or Instagram or Twitter, it's Dean Akers. Just go to Dean Akers and you can find me there. I'm trying to post up almost every day a leadership sales tip, about 60 seconds. Well, this week is a near and dear to me. I've talked to a number of my previous ninjas, and again, somebody asked me what a ninja is. It's one of my folks that I've trained over the years that just exemplifies all the sales and leadership techniques that I speak about each week. And so I just customarily call them my ninjas. At any rate, I was talking to one this past week, and we were really talking about what really makes current customers, potential customers, and customers you should have. So this week we're going to talk about rating relationships. And this is something you want to do for yourself. This is something you want to get in the habit of just kind of reaching out on a sheet of paper and being transparent with one person and one person only. And that would be yourself. If you're in sales, it should be for you, for your customers. If you're in leadership, it should be for you and your customers and your employees or team members. So how does the rating scale work? Well, back in the day, we used to jokingly rate people, or let's go back to sports when I did a little bit of diving, springboard diving in high school and college. And when we would do a dive, they would rate us 1 to 10. And 10 obviously being perfect, and 1 would be a major disaster. So in business, over the last 45 years, I've used kind of a rating system to kind of give me a benchmark of where I think I am with current customers, potential customers, and more importantly, customers I should have. Because a lot of people talk about their current customers. They talk about, oh, we've got these potential customers. And when I ask them about all the customers that are in their space and we start researching it, it's amazing how many customers that they don't even have on their potential customer list. And I call that the customers you should have. So let's go back to relationships. So when you have a client or a potential client or client you should have, you want to work on analyzing how your relationship is with 3 people within the organization. Now, I have people always ask me, who are those 3 people? Should they all be, I've got to get to the decision makers and all that stuff that most traditional salespeople are taught. The reality is 3 deep can be any 3 people in the company. And I'll give you a story. So years ago, I was calling on a big potential customer, and they would not see anybody in sales. It's just kind of like their policy. As a matter of fact, they had that big old sign out front that says no solicitation. And I can remember one time the person said, "Did you not see our sign?" And I go, "What sign?" And they said, "We have a sign out there that says no solicitation." And I went, "Well, I apologize. I'm kind of a stupid person. I don't even know what the word solicitation means." They started laughing. Of course, they meant no salespeople. Longest story short is this was a big potential client. And how did I rate my depth or my relationship with 3 people in there? Well, I didn't have any relationship. And so I started working at it. And my first relationship I built with was the receptionist. And the receptionist had been there 10 years. And I would physically stop by about every 2 or 3 weeks and walk in to introduce myself and ask about the folks there and if I could introduce myself to the CEO, and she would always say no. Then I finally, actually at the very onset, I got her name, some information from her, and I kind of knew a little bit about her. And as I got to know her more, knew about her kids, I'd send her my customary handwritten notes and all this stuff. About 7 months into me really having a relationship with her, somewhere north of a 6 or a 7, not a 10, but certainly a pretty decent relationship, she reached out to me and called me and said, "You need to be at this restaurant tonight at 6 o'clock." And I told her, I said, "Awesome. What for?" And she goes, "I want you to walk in like you just don't even know why you're there, like you're normally there. I'm going to go, 'Oh my gosh, Dean, what are you doing here?' And you go, 'Oh, Paula, how are you?' And then I will proceed to introduce you to all our executives and everybody, because we're having a little cocktail get together at this little restaurant tonight that nobody knows about. But you're going to stumble in there." Well, long story short is I stumbled in there. And sure, Paula goes, "Oh, Dean, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I just came by here and what are you doing here?" And she goes, she started talking to me and she says, "I got to introduce you to the rest of the folks here." So she introduced me to everyone in the company that was there. "This is my friend Dean. I was telling you about him. He's the one that sent me the card for my kids," and blah, 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 blah. Well, to make a long story short, within 6 to 8 weeks, I had about 5 deep there of people with relationships that were 5+ and 2 that were 8+. They became ultimately my largest client. And they took me to deals and they put me with customers and they made sure that I knew about the deals, was on the deals, and got last look to the deals. And when I mean last look, not like, "Oh, I'm doing something illegal." They wanted me on their programs. They wanted me doing work for them because they had a relationship with me. So I'm going to ask you, I want you this week to really take your top 20 potential customers. Look at what they really are worth to you. Ask yourself if you know 3 people, and then honestly rate your relationship. Now, your relationship isn't that you know their name and email. If you have their name and email and that's about all you know about them, that's not a relationship. A relationship is learning personal things about what makes them tick, being deep with them, doing unique touches with the handwritten notes, etc., etc., etc. But it's building that relationship just like you would with anybody. So this week, take your top 10 potential clients, write them down, sit down, and be very transparent with yourself and say, put 1, 2, and 3 next to them. And then underneath that, rate your relationship as fair as you can be with how you think you are with them, with 10 being perfect and a 1 being you just know who they are. If you're not a 7 or above, I can promise you the chances you getting that client are remote. But if you'll take time over the next 12 months to build those relationships with at least 3 people to a 7 or plus, I promise you, new clients, clients that will love you, clients that will be loyal, and clients that will support you. So go out there, make your list, make sure, be honest, rate your relationship with 3 people in your 10 potentially largest customers. And then reach back out to me at dean@deanakers.com. Tell me how this is working for you. If you need some help with this or some outlines for it, reach out to me at dean@deanakers.com. If you can rate 3 people within a large potential client with a 7 or above relationship, I will promise you, you'll get the business. So have a great week and go make it happen.
If you enjoyed this week's show, subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanakers.com. Also, visit us at www.deanakers.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.